everybody. My name is Angie and I am with the Shelby County YMCA. So we're here today, we're gonna do a yin yoga sequence. So you might need some props. If you have some, go ahead and grab a couple blocks, and you might want a strap, go ahead and grab that too. Some people like to use a bolster in some of our poses. So again, you can modify by using pillows, whatever you have. So I want you to keep in mind today through our sequence, we want to focus on our breath. So make sure you're drawing that breath in through the nose. We're going to draw it deep down into the abdomen, which is going to kind of push that abdomen out. We're going to pause with that breath. And then we're going to try to release that breath fully from the lungs. And think about pushing that breath from up into the lungs, down into the belly, pulling that spine or pulling that belly button towards the spine as you release that breath. So we're going to do that type of breath throughout our sequence today. I also want you to pay attention to your body. It's going to tell you if a pose is right or wrong for you. Don't push yourself. If something's not right for you, take a little break or go into a pose that's right for you. So let's go ahead and start today by stretching the neck, stretching the shoulders. Let's bring the chin to the chest. Bring the head back up, and we're going to let it gently fall behind. Bring the head back up. We're going to take it over to the right. Feel free to take that right hand. You can gently place it on the head. There's no need to push. Release from the right side. Let's do the same thing with the left. Go ahead and release the head. We're going to bring the hands to the shoulders. Let's bring the elbows together, and let's make some nice big slow circles. Feel free throughout your sequence. You can close your eyes if that feels better. Let's move in the opposite direction. Let's go ahead and release the arms. We're going to bring that left hand over to that right knee. Let's inhale that right arm up and exhale it back behind. Try to sit up nice and tall. And again, focus on the breath. Release from the right side. Let's bring that right hand to the left knee. Inhale that left arm up, and let's exhale it back behind. Let's come back to center. And let's bring that right hand again to that right knee, or you can bring it down to your mat. And we're going to inhale that left arm up and exhale it over to the right. If you want a deeper stretch, you can always walk that right hand out a little bit further away. And think about lifting up in those ribs, pulling those ribs away from the hips as you lean to the right side. Inhale, back up, left hand reaches down, and let's exhale that right arm over to the left. release, come back up. We're gonna move to our hands and our knees. We're gonna go through some rounds of our cat-cow. So spread those fingers nice and wide, have those hands underneath the shoulders. And we've got those knees, those legs about hip distance apart. Make sure you're pressing the tops of the feet down into the mat, or if you prefer, you can always curl those toes, pressing those toes into the mat instead. And we're gonna inhale, dropping the belly, looking forward in our cow. And then exhale as you arch the back, drawing that chin towards the chest. And we're gonna move through those with our breath. So again, inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. And again, go through it at your own pace. Come to a neutral back. We're going to walk both hands over to the left side of the mat. Let's bring that right foot to the outside of that right hand. And we're going to start to slide that left leg back. Just take it back until you feel a gentle stretch. And this is our low dragon. Make sure you're lifting up in the chest. Maybe think about drawing those shoulder blades together. If you have issues with your wrists, you can always take a blanket or you can get a foam wedge actually designed for this. And you can see if maybe it feels better to have those palms inclined up off of the mat, or for some people it feels better to have the fingers up instead. So always feel free to play around with that. Use whatever props you need. Curl those back toes under, and we're going to push up into our high dragon. Feel free to use blocks underneath the hands if that feels better for you. Or again, you can use a blanket or a foam wedge. And if at any time you need to come back down and go back into your low dragon, feel free to do so. Bring that left knee back down to the mat. We're going to incorporate a twist. So we're going to leave the left hand down on the mat or on a block. You can reach that right arm up nice and tall if you'd like. You can bring that right hand to the right hip. You can hinge that arm back behind you, letting that right hand rest on that left hip. Or you can draw up that back leg, reach around, grab that foot or ankle, and turn and look over that right shoulder. So go into whichever variation works better for you. Out of our twist. We're going to come down into a child's pose. So you can bring those legs together if you like arms can come at your side, forehead comes down to the mat, or a block can be placed underneath. Make sure those big toes are together. You can also reach back, grab hold of those heels. That's going to pull you deeper into the pose. You can also move those legs about hip distance apart, sliding the hands and the arms forward, bringing the forehead down. Or you can bring those knees the width of the mat, and again, slide those hands and arms forward. Let's start to bring ourselves out of our child's pose. We're going to come back up to our hands and our knees. Let's walk the hands over to the right side of our mat. Again, spread those fingers nice and wide. We're going to bring that left foot to the outside of that left hand. And now we'll start to slide that right leg back, again, just until you feel a gentle stretch. And with that back foot, always feel free to vary it up. You can have the top of the foot pressing into the mat, or if it feels better for you, go ahead and curl those toes under. But make sure you're engaging all four corners of the feet, pressing those into the mat, and also activate those glutes. That's going to help stabilize you and help you with your balance in your poses. And again, lift up in the chest. Think about drawing the shoulder blades together. Go ahead, curl those back toes under, and let's push up into our high dragon. Again, feel free to use props as needed, blocks underneath the hands, blanket, or you can use a foam wedge if you have one. And feel free to come out of the pose at any time. Make sure too, when you're in your dragon pose, that you're not kind of overdoing that neck. So a lot of times in this pose, it's better to go ahead and stare down at your mat instead of kind of straining that neck looking forward. Let's bring that right knee back down to the mat. We're going to incorporate our twist. So try to do your twist the same way that you did on the opposite side. So again, the variations are that left hand can go to your left hip. You can hinge that arm back behind, placing that left hand on the right hip. You can reach that left arm up, or you can draw up the back leg, reach back, grab that foot or ankle, and then do a little twist looking over that left shoulder. Release out of our twist. And we're going to come down onto our mat and move into a pose that's called deer pose. So we're going to start off with the right leg out in front. We're gonna bend that leg, and we're gonna bring the left leg out to our side. Now, if you feel any pressure in the knees, you can always grab one of your blocks and you can sit on that block. That should help take that pressure out of the knee. Some people also like to take a block underneath the knee to kind of support that. So again, always make the yoga poses right for you. There's absolutely no competition in yoga. So we're gonna move into a twist in our deer pose. So let's go ahead, bring that left hand over to the right knee, inhale that right arm up, and let's exhale it back behind. Let's release from our twist. Let's come back to center, and we're gonna bring ourselves forward. So you can use props whenever you move forward in a yoga pose. You can come down to your forearms if that works better for you. You can bring the forearms down to the mat. You can make a little pillow with the arms, bringing the forehead down, or you can slide those arms forward. So again, make sure you do whatever feels best for you. Let's slowly start to bring ourselves back up. We're gonna switch that to the other side. So now the left leg is gonna come in front, right leg is gonna come out to the side. Again, monitor your body, listen to your body. One side is not always gonna be like the other side. So if you need to, grab a block, go ahead and support that left knee, or sit on a block to take that pressure out of both knees. And we're gonna move again into the twist. So the right hand's gonna come over to the left knee. Let's inhale that left arm up, and let's exhale it back behind. Again, sit up nice and tall. Make sure you're focusing on your breath. So when you inhale, you should feel the body slightly twist towards the front. And when you exhale, you should feel it slightly turn back. Release out of our twist. We're going to come back to our forward fold again. So again, feel free, grab the props if you need them. You can bring them out in front, bring the arms to the blocks. You can bring the forearms down to the mat. You can come into a little pillow with the arms, resting the head, or slide those arms forward. Again, go into whichever variation feels right for you. slowly start to bring yourselves back up. We're gonna come into a couple poses where we're gonna focus now on stretching the toes, stretching the ankles, and we forget about that area of our body a lot, and it's very, very important that we keep that area happy. So we're gonna start off by a toe squat. So I'm gonna turn to the side so you guys can see that a little bit better. So basically, you're gonna come up and have those toes together, come back down, and we're gonna bring those knees down to our mat. Now, you can modify with that because it can become a pretty intense stretch on those toes. If you wanna take some of that stretch out, you can add 1 or you can add 2 blocks. Completely up to you. You can also use blocks to modify with your balance. You can have those blocks off to the side, placing your hands on the blocks. Otherwise, let's do a little bit of an arm stretch. Let's reach those arms all the way up with an inhale, clasp them together, push them up nice and tall, and let's exhale those arms forward. Inhale back up. And let's release those arms back down. We're going to release the toes. And now we're going to move into our ankle stretch. Again, you can use blocks as a prop in this pose. So I'm going to show you what it looks like without the props, and then I'll show you what it looks like with the props. So without, you're basically sitting back on those heels, and you're just going to start lifting up those heels. You can always bring the hands to the side to help with the balance, stretching them up even further. Or if you don't want that much of a stretch and you want to turn it into more of a restorative pose, you can use a block or a pillow underneath the legs. Again, if you want a little bit more of a stretch, add a second block. You can take the hands out of the pose, bringing those hands into Namaste. Release out of our ankle stretch, and let's move into our garland squat. So in our garland squat, we're going to bring our feet the width of the mat. Go ahead and drop those hips down. We're going to bring the palms together. You can let those arms rest on the inner thighs. Just let that tailbone drop towards the mat. Now, I suggest to people a way to modify in this pose is you can back yourself up to the wall. You can rest your back onto the wall. You can also use the blocks underneath your hips, just kind of as support. And again, make sure you're focusing on your breath. Think about bringing that breath into the hip area. So anytime you feel like an area of the body is tense, think about breathing into that area. It should help relax it. Release the hands, and we're going to come to our knees. We're going to come into a kneeling position, and again, I'm going to turn myself sideways so that you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. And we're going to move into what we call camel pose. So I will give you variations and modifications as we go along. So again, the back of the feet can press down into the mat, or if it's more comfortable for you, feel free to curl those toes, pressing the toes into the mat instead. We're gonna start with a half camel. Let's bring that right hand to that right hip. We're gonna reach that left arm up, and then we're gonna take a deep breath in, and then exhale as we're pushing the thighs, pushing the hips forward, arching the back, and think about drawing that right shoulder blade inward towards the spine. Again, make sure you're breathing, don't hold your breath. Let's release from that right side. Let's bring that left hand to the left hip. Inhale that right arm up, and let's exhale as we're pushing those hips, pushing those thighs forward, drawing that right shoulder blade inward towards the spine. Release from your half camel. We're gonna move it into the next step, the next level, and I'll show you modifications. So to go into that next step, that right hand is gonna reach back for that right heel. We're gonna reach that left arm up. Again, inhaling the arm up, exhaling as we arch that back, pushing the thighs and the hips forward. Modifications would be that again, you can keep that hand on the hip, or you can grab your block, and you can have a block right next to your leg and use that instead. We'll come out of that on that side. Let's do it on the opposite side. Left hand now goes back to the heel, or if you're modifying, go ahead and modify. And we're gonna reach that right arm up, inhaling, and exhale as we push the thighs and the hips forward and arch the back. Let's bring it back up. We're gonna go one more step. So to modify, both hands can stay on those hips, or you can use blocks on each side. The full version of camel is that we're gonna go ahead, inhale both those hands back to the heels, and exhale as you push those thighs, those hips forward, arching the back. And again, you're drawing those shoulder blades together. Let's bring it back up. Let's turn back around. We're gonna come back to our hands and our knees, and we're gonna move into melting heart. So we're staying on those knees, backs of the feet can be pressing into the mat, or again, you can curl those toes, pressing the toes into the mat. And we're gonna slide those hands and arms forward. You can bring the chin down to the mat, or you can bring the forehead down to the mat. Feel free to use a block underneath the chin or the forehead. And I want you to soften the shoulder blades. Make it feel as if those shoulder blades are dropping all the way down to the mat. And again, press into those feet, press into those hands, almost like you're pushing forward with those hands. Let's walk the hands back in. Let's bring ourselves back up. We're gonna sit down on our mats. You might wanna grab a strap for this pose. And another thing that you might wanna have close by are some blocks. So we're gonna go into what we call caterpillar pose. We're gonna flex those feet, and you can use a strap in this pose. And if you have plantar fasciitis, this is gonna be a really great pose for you. So you'll take a strap, place it around the middle of both feet, Hold on to it with both hands. Let those elbows kind of move out to the side. We're gonna take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, let that belly start to move forward. Now, this isn't a pose that we go into really fast. We really need to pay attention to our body in this pose. If you're feeling any tingling in that left leg, I want you to back out of the pose. Another thing I want you to think about is the breath. Now, you don't have to use a strap. You can go at it just with the hands. So I like to tell people, let's look at the breath as a wave. So we're gonna inhale those arms up, and we exhale as we start to bring those hands forward, bringing them towards the toes if you can. And we want to think about the spine. The spine is really important in this pose. So think about the belly coming towards the legs first. And if your body allows it, then maybe the sternum comes next, and last would be the forehead. So when I say think about the breath as a wave, so every time you inhale, you're drawing that body up away from the legs, and then you exhale and you let the body slowly come towards the legs. And each time you do that, you might notice that your body is relaxing a little bit more, allowing you to go a little deeper into the pose. Now, there's also modifications for this. If you have really tight hamstrings, take a block. You can place that block underneath the knees. And you can also sit on a block. You can do both. And that brings those legs a little bit higher towards the belly, makes it a little bit more accessible for a deeper stretch. And again, like I told you in the beginning of the video, there's no competition in yoga. This is all about you, your body, your mind, your spirit. So don't worry about anything else. Just worry about you and how you feel in the pose. Slowly start to come back up. Let's take ourselves out of the pose. Remove any props if you're using them. We're going to place them off to the side. And let's move into our butterfly. We're going to bring those feet out in front. We're going to let those legs open up. Make sure the feet are not too close to the body. If this bothers your knees, another way you can use the blocks is prop those blocks right underneath the knees. We're going to move forward. So let's inhale, bringing those arms all the way up, and exhale as we bring ourselves forward. You can cup those hands around the toes if you'd like. Now, if that doesn't work out for you, bring those blocks in between the legs and come down to the blocks instead. Slowly start to come back up. We're going to leave that right foot where it's at. Let's bring that left leg out to the left side. And this is another opportunity if you want to use a strap, grab your strap, and you can put that around the middle of your left foot, holding on to that strap with your left hand. You don't have to use a strap. You can just let that hand slide towards that foot any amount and try to keep that foot flexed. We're keeping that right foot way out in front of us. And let's go ahead and start to slide that left hand towards the foot, and we're going to inhale that left arm up and exhale it over to the left. And think about those ribs again. We want to lift those ribs and maybe twist just a little bit more to the right. Release, bring it back up. We're going to move forward again. So inhale those arms back up and exhale them forward. Again, cupping around the toes if you can, or place those blocks out in front of you and bring the forearms to the blocks instead. And let's think about this left leg. A lot of times that leg wants to roll inward. We want to try to keep it straight up. Think about the spine. Make sure you're not slumping over, putting an arch in that spine. Let's bring ourselves back up. Let's bring that left foot to meet the right. And now let's bring that right leg out to the right side. Again, grab your strap if you want to use it. Place around the middle of that right foot. Hold on to it with the right hand. Or go ahead, we're going to slide that right hand towards the foot, any amount. Let's inhale that left arm up and exhale it over to the right. Again, lift up those ribs off of the hips and twist a little bit deeper to the left. Release from our twist, come back up, and once again we're going to move forward. So go ahead and inhale those arms up, exhale it forward, grab hold around those toes if you can, or otherwise place some blocks right here in front of you coming down to your forearms. Again, let's focus on that right leg, flex that foot, make sure that leg is not rolling inward. Keep it straight up. Back up, releasing out of the pose. And we're going to come onto our backs. Let's bring those knees into our chest. Let's give them a nice big hug. Now go ahead and release. Let the legs fall over to the right. Right hand can rest on the legs. Let's inhale that left arm up and exhale it over to the left as we turn and look at that left hand. And try to keep that left shoulder blade down and the right shoulder blade down. Bring the legs back up, and now let them fall over to the left. Left hand on top of the legs. Let's inhale the right arm up and exhale it to the right as we turn and look at the right hand. Again, think about both shoulder blades. Let's try to keep them down on the mat. Release from that right side. Bring the legs back into the chest. Let's give them one more nice big hug. Let's go ahead and release. We're going to move into our final relaxation pose, our corpse pose. We're going to let those legs slide down the mat. Arms come out to the side, palms face up. And I want you to lift up that right leg, reach it away from the body, and place it back down. Let's let's lift up that left leg, reach it away from the body, and place it back down. Lift up that right arm, reach it away from the body, and place it back down. Let's raise up that left arm, reach it away from the body, place it back down. We're going to lift up those hips, give them a little shake, and place them back down. Let's lift up the head, pull it away from the body, and place it back down. And let's start going through the body, start relaxing it even deeper. So let's start relaxing the muscles in the face. Relax the tongue, let it fall down to the bottom of the mouth. Relax the jaw. Relax the neck. Relax the shoulders, the arms, the hands and the fingers. Relax the muscles in the chest. Soften the belly. Relax the hips. Relax the legs, the feet, and the toes. Focus on your breath and move yourself into a deep relaxation. Pose for as long as it feels right for you. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and turn ourselves to our right side. Reach that right arm back behind you. Rest your head on your right arm and draw your knees into your chest. Go ahead and start wiggling the toes. Turn the feet in one direction. Now the opposite direction. Go ahead and wiggle the fingers. And turn the hands in one direction. Now the opposite direction. And let's bring our left hand down to the mat and slowly start to bring yourself up and off the mat. And let's come around to a seated position. Let's bring our hands to our heart. And thank you all for joining me. Namaste. Everybody have a great day.